Right then, you lot. I think you can all see it here. I'll just close the participant page here. There we go. You can see all of that. I'm just going to move my face out the way, just so you can see Ashley. There you go. I'm in the corner. That'll be a lot better.
Yep.
A lot better. You want to see more of Ash's face than mine, anyways. I think that's right.
We don't.
Exactly. So, just to run through first and foremost, who we have here at the moment is there you go. Yes, exactly. UTV. That's it, Lizzie. We have the boys from the 2010s Villagers podcast. So, I've got a list of questions here. I'm going to let the ladies and gentlemen that are in the chat jump in as well if they've got any questions for you guys, if that's okay. Obviously, all the way throughout of this, if there's anything that you want to be able to add, then just jump in. No issue at all there. But first and foremost, how are we all? COVID permitting, are we all good?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Just plodding on, I suppose. Just lockdown's not very easy for many people. Just trying to carry on being positive. It's tough without football. I'm sure the lads will agree. But yeah, just trying to carry on as best as possible.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously a bit boring and stuff at the moment, but you know it's got to be done, hasn't it? But yeah, we'd love to be able to have football to talk about. But yeah, as you say, COVID wise, everything's fine.
Good.
I think we're surviving. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
We're just about surviving.
Good.
Yeah.
And well, I'll move on to the COVID side of it later on. I think that's going to be quite a key issue, especially not just you, as in North Ferriby, but as in non-league football generally. I think there's quite a big discussion around whether or not the league's going to shut down or whether games are going to be played and stuff. So we'll have a chat about that. Firstly, I wanted to know more about the 2010 Villagers and where that was born from. Probably a brainchild of one of you. I don't know who though. So when did you decide to set up the 2010 Villagers? When was that decided?
Go on, Sheppo.
Well, to be honest, I think it was you two. It was Ash that had the initial idea. I think back in the days when we were allowed to go to the pub. But I'll let Ash explain.
I think I'd mentioned it to Jack on the Sunday about possibly doing a podcast, and then we play football on a Monday night down at Ferriby, and I think I said it to Sam, and Sam's eyes widened when I said this. He was very excited about the idea, so we had a meeting, didn't we, the day after?
We did.
In the beer garden at pub.
The only place to have meetings.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
only place. We took a little notebook with a pen, sat in his beer garden with laptops out and everything. Came up with a structure of the show, didn't we? And then I think we just went from there and just said, we'll see how it goes. And somehow we're still here.
Somehow Ash hasn't got us taken off the air.
Yeah.
No, we're not particularly popular with certain clubs.
No. We'll go into that. We'll go into that later as well, Sam. There's been a little bit of gripes online, should we say? But we'll go into that a little bit later on, definitely.
Yeah. I think just the obviously the really imaginative name 2010 Villagers is that we've been going since 2010. Obviously seen a hell of a lot in that time. Some massive ups and some big downers as well, and obviously the reformation of North Ferriby FC as it is now. Obviously frustrating times at the minute with the first season of the club getting null and voided, and then I don't know what's going to happen with the second season, but yeah, that's where it all came from. And yeah, it was, like I said, it was just started off as a bit of a simple idea, and we're really pleased with where it's at now. 16 episodes we've done, had a lot of comments, a lot of praise, but obviously, like we'll come on to later, a lot of we've caused some controversy as well along the way.
Yes, we have, and I definitely will touch on that later. So, who was actually the brains behind it then? Are we saying that's Ash?
I don't know. I think we've got to.
Hang on. Let me say what I'm going to say here. It was my idea.
Okay.
And the thing is, when you give Sam an idea, Sam runs away with it, and Sam just takes it because he's very good at that. But he does a great job, does Sam? Does a great job, and that's what he specialises in. So it's like handed it over to him, and he's done a great job as Sam. We can't insult. He's done a great job.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, you can't doubt how good of a job you've done. Not just with the podcast, but with the other things like the Super Six and the stuff like that. But yeah, everything. He's an organised guy and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
but I don't want to big his ego too much, so I'm going to stop talking.
No, it's dangerous game.
I think that's the nicest. I think that's the nicest things I've ever said about me. So cheers, lads. Obviously, it's quite a good dynamic, really, because like I say, I do like the organisation side of things, and obviously these two help a lot. And I sort of took on the role of hosting it. Obviously, we've got Jack as our sort of club official. The inside track from the club, which he does a brilliant job at with the social media. And Ash is like the maverick, I want to say, the guy with the one-liners.
That's what I'm here for.
All right, okay. So, moving on to each of your affinities with North Ferriby. Now, I know, Sam, you touched on Jack there being the club official. So I just wanted to know what each of your stories were with North Ferriby, how you got kind of engrossed in the club, where your love came from the club. So I know obviously each and every one of you have your own. So I think we've lost Jack there. Oh, there we go. Jack's back.
Sorry, there's something wrong with my camera.
Okay, no worries, that's fine. You're back now. It's fine. I'll move my face. So Sam, do you want to start off with you? How did you become kind of involved, or how did you start watching North Ferriby? I'm going to move myself over here. There we go.
Well, I think obviously I don't know if Ash had maybe been a couple of times before, but I think there was a group of us from school, and to be honest, I'll admit we went to watch what used to be the annual friendly with Hull City, the Billy Bly Trophy.
Can we just talk about where the idea to go came from?
Your memory's better than mine, Ash, so.
It was when we was at school. We had these odd days that were called PD days, personal development days, and
right.
We ended up in a group with Sam and a couple of others, and I think we just decided to go. And Sam had heard us going, and he jumped in, and ever since then we've been stuck with him.
Yeah, that's probably right. Obviously, when I went from my own personal side, probably with one eye more on Hull City, to be honest, than I did with Ferriby. It was always like the first chance to see City's new signings and things like that playing against Ferriby. And obviously, because with it being such a local friendly, the ground was always packed and everything, and it was a good occasion. But we just loved it that first night we went. Everything about the place, and we just said, we'll come to a few games, and I only ever thought it was going to be like a few games, the odd Saturday, if we didn't have anything to do or whatever. By the end of that first season, we were hooked. We hadn't been to that many away games, but we'd done a couple, but we'd been to like nearly every home game that year, and it's just gone on since then. Obviously, we're now all three of us. Well, I'll say especially me and Jack. Ash has other commitments sometimes, but we absolutely hate missing games.
That was a jab. That was a jab there, Ash. Just note that down. That was a jab against Ash. Yeah.
Rude.
Yeah.
No, he's had it many a time before, Ben. He learns to accept it now.
Fair enough.
I do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But obviously me and Ash started very similar time. Obviously, Jack, there is a bit of an age gap with Jack to us too. So we didn't actually meet him until, was it second season, third season, Ash?
End of the second season. It was Dudson Cup final, wasn't it?
Yeah. And as Dave just said about me, we've been stuck with him ever since. And
definitely stuck with him.
I mean, as we'll probably talk about specifics, but some of the memories over them 10 years have just been amazing. And yeah, so I mean, I don't know what Ash's take on it is, but pretty similar story to mine, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't think you can tell your story without telling my story. I don't think I can tell my story without telling your story, Sam. We're very linked together, aren't we? Ferriby journey is very linked.
They're like the worst old married couple.
Are the ones sat at the bar like, yep, Yeah, yeah,
It's
just
all-
sat in the corner.
Let's put it this way: it's always Ash looking after Sam.
It actually is. It is. I've got a
He has
story, but
saved
we
me
won't
on
go
a few
into them.
occasions.
But yeah, I mean, from my point of view, obviously being younger than the two lads, just want to mention that younger.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I obviously joined the party a bit later. I was going to watch Ferriby before I met the two lads, because I played for them. I played for the youth teams, and I used to go with some of the other players that I used to play with, and we used to go watch it. But yeah, just one day, sadly, I ended up going to this Dewston Cup final, and ended up standing with the boys, and we sort of haven't really left since. And
Good.
it's been one of them weird journeys where we've been lots of places together, and it's been some of the happiest times. But personally, I mean, obviously now doing the social media, I've done it before. I did it in the last days of it being North Ferriby United. Obviously, where circumstances doing it back then to doing it what it is now. But yeah, just I've been going for nearly the same amount of time as them. There's about a year or two difference.
Yeah.
But I love it just as much as them. They know that, and we're all just as passionate about it, and all of our stories make for really good hearing. So
Good.
So yeah,
Which you will hear on the podcast if you watch it.
Whoa, look at that little plug. Nice. 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 11 minutes in. 11 minutes in. Sam's learnt himself to put plugs in there. There you go. Brilliant. The 2010s Villagers podcast is available on YouTube if anyone wants to watch it, by the way, guys. Obviously, we're gonna plug that in there, Sam, don't worry. Jack, do you just want to touch on your involvement with the club that you've got at the moment? Your role within the club at North Ferriby FC, at this moment?
Yeah, so basically it's not that big. I just run the social medias, basically. Run them from day to day.
Can I just interrupt him? He just said it's not that big. He's there every day of the week.
Yeah, I can imagine. In the pub, Ash. That don't count.
All right, I say there's quite a lot to it, but obviously doing graphics and doing the match day stuff. But I love it. I wouldn't do it for anybody else. The only reason I got back into it was because when the club was reforming, Les phoned me up and said, "Do you want to do the social media?" And I gave him an answer before the phone call ended.
Yeah, can imagine.
So yeah, I mean, I've just sort of developed from there, and having a good rapport with Chris and Robert and all the players and the like, and also bringing that back to the lads as well. So being able to have good discussions with the lads and just being not the insider, but a man to sort of keep a bit of parity, because these two will go at it, arguing with each other.
Good.
So yeah, I mean that's all I do really. Do all the match day social media and all the social media during the week, and just have to deal with the people that want to say funny things.
Awesome. Well, you've just had a comment in the chat there, Jack, about you're running the social media, but you still can't work your webcam. So we'll leave that there. No, you're all right, mate. Don't touch it. You're all good now. Don't worry.
It's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. So I just want to one thing before I went to the next one. Sam, you touched on the old days and the highs. Do you say FA Vars or FA Vase? How do you pronounce it?
What?
The FA Vars trophy. Is it the vase or the vase?
Who calls it a vase?
Do you say a vase or... This is an argument I'm having, Jack. It's vase, is it not?
It is.
Thank you. Okay. This is an argument. You see, mate, we're apparently insulated here. It's a little bit like the bread cake argument. So I've said FA Vars trophy before, and I've had people come at me live on stream saying, What are you talking about? It's vase. Like, say it properly. I'm like, I am saying it properly. It's vase. Anyways.
If you're from an area that calls it the vase, you should never ever win it.
Exactly. Which you guys have. The best non-league trophy. Yes, Lizzie. Exactly. The reason why I'm asking that is because back on the 29th of March in 2015, North Ferriby United, inverted in commas, not only went on to Wembley, but they also won there. So my first question is, were any of you there?
I'm going to take a step back.
Two of us were.
Oh, okay. So this is more for you, Ash and Sam. And then, if you were there, can you describe what the overall day was like? Not just the game itself, but kind of the build-up beforehand and then a little bit after as well.
I think you've got to start all the way back at the moment that they won the penalty shootout against Bath in the semi-final.
Yeah.
And that pitch invasion and just the sheer euphoria was absolutely amazing. It had been a great run through that competition that year. We had a brilliant team at that time, and Billy Heath, the legendary manager. And the build up to the final was just, I mean, we were counting down days, hours, seconds, onto the day. Obviously, just that surreal feeling of like getting on to the Duke pub in Ferriby and getting on coaches and things to go to Wembley, and you're thinking, this is for North Ferriby United.
Yeah.
This isn't Hull City, or it was absolutely mad. And it was like an example. It was my first year at uni, and a lot of my mates from uni came who knew nothing about Ferriby or anything, but just because it was a big occasion, and it was one of the best days of my life. I'm not ashamed to admit that. It was absolutely amazing. And the game itself, and I say this a few times, I've said this to various people, I think it's one of the best finals that the new Wembley certainly has ever seen. Not a lot of people will know about it because it was only the FA Trophy, non-league, but to have the little village team going 2-0 down, coming back to 2-2, going ahead in extra time to be pegged back right at the end, and then finally winning on penalties with a save from a goalkeeper who, if we're honest, was on one leg in that final. It's just the sheer. I think my celebrations when we equalised to make it 2-2. I mean, honestly, I was on the edge of having a heart attack. I think it was honestly, mate. It's so difficult to describe how amazing that day was. But yeah, I'll let Ash give his take on it as well.
I think it was a culmination of a journey that day, wasn't it? I think that was the high point, and everything since then that's gone on makes it even more of a big point. But I think the key of a day was you're there with people that have been on the whole journey with you from the start. And to celebrate that with them, well, you were there from the start.
Ooh, jab.
But,
there we go. We've had one. Sam's made one at Ash, and Ash has now made one at Jack. So I'm keeping tally here, lads. There you go. Jack, you've got one there.
You was a year late, Sol. I'm talking about Hickey and Greeny. Those two are there, and there's some great stories of Greeny winning 88 quid, isn't there, at Wembley? But it was great. It was just a great day, and I don't think you can mention that day without smiling or feeling proud or anything like that. It's just a great day.
Walker, would you
How was it in France, Sol?
Yeah, it was nice. It was cold actually. but Walker, would you like to explain to the viewers who Greeny is?
Greeny's been there from the start, hasn't he? Liam, I met Liam. Loves a gamble, doesn't he?
Does love a gamble. He does love a gamble.
That's all we're gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, Hickey as well. Jack, who's been on the show a couple of times, he was there from the start as well.
Did your teachers not let you tune into BT Sport then on your school trip in France, Jack? Could you not get that over there?
No, France. It wasn't available internationally, unfortunately. I was obviously keeping an eye on the score, and I was very happy when we won. But I was also a tiny bit sad because I knew I wasn't there. So, but yeah,
that was a Bath semi-final as well. That was a good day, wasn't it?
Again, I wasn't there. I dummy out because I couldn't go to the final. Yes,
brilliant.
Yes, this
Brilliant.
is all very true. But yeah, I mean, for the club and for the boys especially, I know how much it meant to them. And just to see like the faces of just let's say Les and Jill at the end, just shows how proud everybody was that day, and to have a village team go all the way down to Wembley, take 2,500 people with them, and let alone go but win as well, beat a conference national side in Wrexham. It was such a great achievement, and obviously the nicest way to win any football match is a penalty shootout.
I bet you weren't thinking that during it though, was you? That 90 minutes plus extra plus pens, like just no. not enjoying it at all.
I mean, the sheer like adrenaline rush when you win a penalty shootout is amazing,
Yeah.
but during it,
Nah.
you just want the ground to swallow you up.
I think
it's awful.
Yeah, from finals that I've experienced in the past, I mean, unfortunately, as a Hull City fan, you can say in that 90 minutes, you don't enjoy it. You don't enjoy the 90 minutes between the start whistle and the final whistle. When it's close, all right, fair enough, you're 4-0 up and you're coasting, you're enjoying yourself, but I don't think you genuinely enjoy the game in between it. I think you enjoy it after the fact, and when you're reflecting upon it, I think it's brilliant. You're like, oh, that tackle, or oh, that goal, or bloody hell, when we all jumped back, that was fantastic. But no, that 90 minutes in between. Oh, actually, sorry, the penalty shootout you probably didn't enjoy either. When you saw Wrexham netting one, and then you, oh, no, I can't imagine that. No, thank you.
No, and I was experiencing what Jack's gone through a couple of times this season in the Vars, because back in those days, I did the tweets for the club on a match day. So I was actually doing it at Wembley, so having to try and keep up with the penalty shootout and keep myself together and all that.
Composed.
It was absolutely mad. But yeah, it was just one of those days you never forget as a football fan, especially because there's so many football fans around the country that will never be lucky enough to get an experience like that with their team.
Right.
And it is, you do have to think about it with how many football fans there is in this country and how many teams and everything, that there's some fans that will go week in, week out for 40, 50 years and never get to see a moment like that. So it was a real like privilege, and we came away and thought, thank God we went to that game 5 years ago and got hooked on this, because that was like that was a culmination of something, and it was just amazing.
Yeah. Now, if I've mentioned on stream in the past, obviously discussing North Ferriby, the reason why I was trying to get involved with them, the reason why I was doing them as a tier 10 save on Football Manager. Keeping on the history, and let's say this is a sad part of it, let's say the end of North Ferriby United as a club, which was wound up in the 15th of March 2019 due to outstanding debts of £6,745. Now, can any of you, I've tried to, but can any of you actually explain why North Ferriby United was wound up?
So where do we start with that one? How far back do we go with that? I think it's a process, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I know that was I mean, it could have been anyone that took them to court and got them wound up, but I know it was a ground maintenance fee. But I'm just wondering, the owner that came over it, what was the reason? Do you think, or what was the final nail in the coffin? Well, if you want to explain the process, then that's fine. But I know, I keep telling people, North Ferriby were up there. North Ferriby were in the Vanarama National. They were one promotion away from League 2, fact. And then they were in the Vanarama National. So they were pretty much a professional team at one stage. You're one away from having to be a full-time professional fledgling football player. So going from that to being kicked out of the league back to tier 10, what do you think? Why do you think that was? Or what happened?
I think there's one overriding factor of all this, Ben, and it's money.
Yeah.
I mean, when we was in the Conference North, we were sustaining fairly well in the Conference North. When Les was still in charge, we always sustained really well, and it was sort of kick-started as soon as Les left, didn't it? I mean, when Mr. Forster came in, it was him that took.
To be fair, I know the Forsters get a bad rap, but it was their money that got us there.
Absolutely, yeah. I wasn't going to give him a bad rap at all.
Unfortunately, the money they were putting in wasn't sustainable with the crowds we were getting. That was a problem. Yeah. And when you go up and up and up, your prices of your tickets go up and up and up as well. Your players want more money. You just can't sustain it. And they pulled the plug on it. And then we got, I'll let Salt tell you who we got after that, or Sam, because I don't want to say anything about him.
Yeah, I think the less said about Mr. Wolfland, the better. But just sort of on the Forsters, I mean, we were a Conference North, Conference National club trying to sustain ourselves with 350 fans. Just wasn't doing it. I mean, you can't sustain a club like that at that level. It's just
Yeah.
impossible. And obviously, with the caliber of player we were getting in, or they weren't great, I won't lie, but some of them were good. I mean, in the conference, we've got players who are now playing in League Two. I mean, the prime example being Ryan Fallowfield, one of Harrogate's best players, starts every week there, and they're doing just fine in League Two. So yeah, it was sort of a weird demise. I mean, it was all down to money. I'll tell you now, Ben. It was more than the £6.5 grand that was mentioned in court. It was a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But I just think the final nail in the coffin was when Mr. Waltham and Mr. Chadwick got their hands on it. I mean,
Yeah,
I
you see the stories have got bound around, and I mean even non-Ferriby diehards were hearing stories. So one of them was that he wanted to change the club's location.
yeah,
He
Yeah, I was. Oh, go on, Ben.
Yeah, he wanted to change the location. He wanted to change the name. Am I right?
yeah.
So pretty much,
Yeah.
he was going to strip North Ferriby of North Ferriby and do a little bit of an AFC Wimbledon, and plonk them in a new stadia and a new name, and just kind of take over their position at what division they were in, and try and make money out of that. Is that an accurate representation or?
Yeah, bang on.
Yeah.
Bang on that, yeah.
That is very accurate, and obviously there was a lot of strength of local feeling around this because of, obviously, as everyone knows, the Alam Hull Tigers debacle, and it was.
You could say it was worse than that, actually.
It was. You could say that, and it essentially Jamie Waltham wanted to essentially piggyback the team that he had at Dunswell into Ferriby's league position, basically by changing Ferriby's name and moving them there. And obviously there was a big protest about this, and obviously the FA kicked it out, as they did with Hull City, and basically from then on, I don't think I'm afraid to say that essentially Jamie Waltham didn't pay a bill after that. Didn't spend a single penny.
No, I didn't.
You know, that once that decision hadn't gone his way, they put Carl Chadwick in, and Carl Chadwick gave this great speech that I'll never forget in the clubhouse for everyone there about how I think the line was, "Jamie's my mate, but I'd never worked with him in business." Yet within about 6 weeks, Waltham was back in the ground. You know, and it was clear that he just put Chadwick there as a puppet, basically, and it just went from there. And like you say, they were the first people to take Ferriby to court, got them wound up. But as Jack alluded to, because people have said, "Oh, how can you let a club go under over just £6,000?" But the thing was, if it hadn't been that £6,000, it would have been £6,000 to someone else, or 10 grand to somebody else. That was the tip of the iceberg, really. And that became the end, because Waltham had acquired the club from the Forsters for nothing. So he thought he could get his way quickly, and you know, I'm not going to go into too much on Jamie Waltham, but people who know this area will have heard of him and his goings on in business and in football, and he's a very unsavoury character. And
it's a very politically correct term there, Sam. Unsavoury, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been called worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he'd take that actually, wouldn't he, Ash? He'd take that. He'd be like, yeah, I'll take unsavoury. Yeah.
Just jumping in on that last season.
The other day about Hull's biggest.
Yes.
Con men or something like that.
Yes, yeah. The article in the Hull Daily Mail. Yes, I saw that. Yes.
Yeah, that last season was grim. The last season, you go to the games and you know you're going to get beat. You didn't recognise half the players.
Yeah.
It was getting new players in every week, and you were just watching, thinking the club that you'd fallen in love with and you'd supported was dead, and getting wound up probably was the best thing that happened to the club, so they could start again.
Did any of you see it coming?
Position me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. With the writing on the wall for quite a few weeks, do you reckon?
From the start of that season, you could tell, and you hear things, you know, when you're in and around the place, you know, it's, you know what, rumours and everything are like nowadays. You hear little bits and pieces, and you think, God, this doesn't sound good at all. And I think the inevitable had been coming for quite a while when that day in March 2019 finally came.
Ben, can I just interject? I've just gone onto the stream and I've just looked at a couple of the comments.
I was just about to read some of them now. So
There's somebody saying that they're going to put a $5 in the donations for every plug. So the 2010 Villagers podcast.
There you go, lads. There you go. And just to let you know, I set a donation amount of target of £500 today,
Yeah.
and I've hit 650. So yeah, we've absolutely smashed it. Yeah, we've absolutely smashed it. And I just want to say as well, my viewers that have watched it I started at 9 o'clock this morning. I'm still going now. We're nearly at 12 hours. So thank you for staying here, and I appreciate it massively. But I've got people from Finland buying merchandise. It's mental. I swear to God. And we've got lads from Stoke, up in Glasgow. There are just lads from all over the shop that. What you're portraying now, which is the story which I've tried to portray for almost a year, they're jumping on board with as well. And it is a very unique story in football. That's a fact. There's not a lot of villages that have been as high as Ferriby has, and then had that all taken away, and now trying to build it again. I think I hate the term underdog, but I think a lot of people do want to, when someone's had something, and then they get that taken away from them, especially for reasons that are on the football pitch.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of people want to take it back. Just looking at the comments, like you've said then, we've got Mr. Somerville, who I think's probably North Ferriby Superfan 101.
Go on, Riley.
He said that my first game watching Ferriby was the first league game under the FC banner. 1-1 versus Hallam. Been addicted ever since, and the podcast makes you feel more of a part of the fan culture. So there you go, lads. There's a big recommendation for you.
Yeah, he's a good lad, is Riley. Does a lot of good work around the club. Does his own.
Yeah, he does. Good kid.
Yeah, he's ultimate hype man as well for me on Twitter as well. So shout out some of us massively.
Yeah, Ben, I just want to say,
go on.
Not only from the lads and all of us from the podcast, I just want to say from a club point of view, thank you for all you're doing, all the fundraising you're doing, and giving us that bit more exposure. We really appreciate it. So yeah, from all the club, from Les and everybody, we just want to say thank you very much.
You are more than welcome, and it'll be. We want to keep going. We want to keep doing more. We want to get more involved. I know for a fact, once all of this COVID, I was going to call it nonsense then, but it's not really nonsense, is it? It's a pandemic. But once we're all jabbed up with vaccines, I know for a fact there's at least 20-30 people that want to get down. So I might be sponsoring the game that day or whatever, and we'll get the boardroom out. Be a chance for everyone who's donating money today and who's watching me and who's been watching me over the past year to come along and actually see a real life game of Ferriby football.
Fantastic.
So hopefully, once fingers crossed, once all that's gone, we'll get in there. Chris Dolman TV says, did any of you guys from the podcast go to Tamworth away, March 2018? He said he was vlogging that game. He said he thought North Ferriby was a good team and unlucky to suffer a 4-1 defeat. Everything fell 50-50 Tamworth's way that day. Anyone there?
I wasn't there.
No. The only time we've been to Tamworth was the first game of the season, wasn't it? In August 2016. Yeah, 2015. August 2015.
I've been twice, but yeah.
You've been twice.
We weren't at that one in 2018, unfortunately.
That'll be one of the last games of United.
Yeah,
that one.
Getting on for one of the last ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone's saying Ferriby is on the agenda. Also, great kits as well. I think the away kit's gone down unbelievably well, hasn't it?
It's been amazing.
Hasn't it?
The coverage that's got, and deservedly so, because
it's
an amazing shirt.
Yeah.
You know, it's unbelievable, really, and it's all a feel-good factor about this club.
Yeah.
But I think going back to what you were saying, about the underdog story and stuff, there's always been, from most people anyway, apart from certain clubs, there's always been a lot of love for Ferriby throughout non-league. Just the way the club is, the way the ground is, the welcome you get when you go down there, whether you're a home fan, away fan, neutral who just wants to go to a game, and especially since Les and Jill have come back and it's been North Ferriby FC, it's just been so positive. The coverage, the amount of followers we've got, the attendances we were getting at games before they became limited by COVID, which was amazing for the level that Ferriby now play at.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. And then they keep pulling out these feel-good stories, like the whole thing with the away kit, which has just been, I think it's taken everyone at the club, I think, by surprise how well it's been received and how well it's gone down around the world. I mean, I know Mark Layton, who runs the club shop, he's literally been sending shirts all over the world, and that's no exaggeration.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just amazing.
Finland. Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, the shirt was that popular. Mark had to take a week off work in order to deal with
Really?
the amount of orders he had.
Wow.
And yeah, to have shirts going all over the world and to have sort of national recognition, being in the National Football Museum.
For a tier 10 club, by the way, just want to put that out there. Unbelievable.
And I will just say, because she always kills me if I don't mention it, that the away shirt was chosen by Jill, the chairman's wife. She
There
always
you go.
gets really angry with me whenever I don't say it for her. So yeah, it was a great choice, Jill. But yeah, the shirt. I mean, obviously we had the home shirt from last year, and that really got some good comments from last year.
Yeah.
But to change the away shirt to this year, I thought it's such a nice shirt, and it's not just looks wise that it's nice. It's got such a great story behind it. Obviously, being made out of eco-friendly materials, made out of 16 plastic bottles. I've got my media head on here. But yeah, it's such a nice shirt, and to see the reception that it's got has been nice, not only for us, but for everybody at the club as well. And it's doing us a world of good.
Definitely. I can see some more questions popping up in the chat. Some of them I've got on my list to ask. So if I do miss anything out, then please remind me, and I will ask it at the end for the boys. Moving on to the Phoenix Club then of North Ferriby FC. So barring the name and the players, and obviously yourselves switching over, what changes would you say has happened? So what have you left with North Ferriby United, and what do you think's been brought into North Ferriby FC? Infrastructure-wise, or people in the background, etc.
I think the biggest thing that's changed is the dynamic of the club as a whole. I mean, firstly, having Les back just changes everything. I mean, I'm not going to big him up too much because he knows what we all think about him.
Sellers.
But yeah, sellers, exactly.
Yeah.
But what he's brought is a feel-good factor. People are doing jobs there because they want to do jobs there. Like, say, Mark in the club shop. Mark does all of his work that he does in the club shop because he wants to do it. He wants to do it for Les. He wants to do it for the club. And it's that feel-good factor that we didn't have in the dying days of North Ferriby United. We did have it, but we sort of lost that. And now with the Phoenix Club, we've gained it back. And also, something else that's changed is the strength of the lads on the pitch. I mean, the boys are such a good team, and they've got such a community spirit, and they all love playing for each other, and they all love playing for the club. There's nobody in that squad playing for this club that doesn't want to be here.
Yeah.
So that's one of the nicest things about it. Infrastructure-wise, not much has changed. We've done it up a bit. We've sorted things that hadn't been touched for 3-4 years. The painting job was quite unbelievable what we had to do, but the ground now is better than it ever has been. I'm sure the boys will agree, and the feel-good factor is really back. Awesome.
I know I was talking to Les about it, and one thing that he tried to explain to me was, yeah, okay, fair enough. They've been knocked down to tier 10, and maybe not the attendances, but the money that's going to be coming into the club is at a tier 10 level, let's say. But the club made a lot of changes going up the leagues to become compliant with the division that there was going in, especially in the Vanarama National. So you've still got those electricity bills for the new lights. You've still got the irrigation bills for the pitch. So I'm not kind of trying to play a violin for North Ferriby, but a lot.
Dangerous game to play.
I know exactly. I know. Apologies. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exploding now.
No, just when Salt said we've got a good bunch of lads, I was thinking, come on, Salt, aren't they a bunch of bang average lads?
Yeah, exactly. Overpaid, only there for the money, lads. Exactly. I am.
Deary me, jealousy is an interesting thing.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
These Mickey Mouse clubs in our division.
Yeah,
interesting thing.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Top 4 in the last 32 of the FA Vars is very mediocre.
Yeah, mediocre for a tier 10 club, by the way. I just want to put that out there again. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to kind of the club then. With that being said, what would you say the aims for the club are? What league do you think in an ideal world, you'd like to see them rise to, in an ideal world, and then also in a realistic one. Now, I must say, on Football Manager, I won the Premier League, so there is that, and we were in the Champions League. We had Will Grigg in the Vanarama National, so put that out there. But in your head, in a realistic world, guys, Ash, I'll start with you. In an ideal world and in a realistic one, where do you think North Ferriby could and should be?
We're a Northern Premier League club.
Right.
We should be in the Northern Premier League. But I'd take any division but the god-awful division we're in right now.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I would take the Northern Counties Premier for a couple of years just to help us rise up a little bit. But I think the Northern Premier League is a level we could probably sustain at.
Yeah.
I don't know what these two think, but that's what I think is reasonable.
I agree with you, Ash. I do think in slight dream terms, I'd love to get back to the National League North again and get playing teams like Boston and that again, because days like that were just amazing. I agree with you that we've got to get out of this division. And like you were saying, about having the electricity bills and everything else that comes with a ground like we've got. The thing is, for these teams in this division, it is literally like coming to Wembley, coming to play us. And that's not an overstatement. When we go to the away games and we see these other... And look, these clubs, a lot of them are tier 10 and have been tier 10 their entire existence.
Yeah.
I'm not having a go at them. I'm just saying that because we've been able to keep that infrastructure and keep that ground, it is massively different coming to play us than it is when we go to other teams in this division. So we are a bigger club than that, and we do need to get out of it. Obviously, these COVID situations aren't helping us. I do think in a way it was good experience to get it under our belts last year, and obviously the league got null and void. We might not have gone up anyway, but I think I'll be very interested to see how this season gets decided. But I think, like I said, when we first started going, Ferriby were a Northern Premier League club, and I think we could be quite easily in a few years with the sheer support base and quality that we've got in the squad, and a manager who's learning and getting better all the time. I think we can get back to those levels once life gets back to a bit more normality.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously about achieving goals, and you've got to have short-term goals and you've got to have long-term goals. I think the short-term goal, I think everybody will agree, is to get out of the league we're in. Not because of Ash's reasons, but like
come on.
But like we've said, the infrastructure of the club and the way the club's run is a Northern Premier League club quite easily. We've got the ground grading to be able to go to the Conference North, so it is officially a Conference North ground, standard ground if it needed to be.
Sorry, can we just touch on? So I think there might be some people, especially I can see some Americans in the chat as well. Can you just explain what tier that is to everyone? So
Northern Premier League's tier 3.
Of non-league.
Start from the Premier League. Start from the Premier League.
7.
Right, 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where we want to be.
Now,
That's where we want to be. Yeah.
Tier 7.
Yeah, tier 7, and then the one that Sam alluded to, which is the National North, that is 6.
That's 6.
Yeah, and then the National Vanarama National, or the National League, as you want to call it, is 5. Anything after 5 is going to be number 4, which is League 2. So when you're in League 2, that is fully professional. So they were actually in 5 at one point. Sorry, United were. But sorry, go on, Jack. Yeah. So you want to get back up to 7. That's right.
Yeah. 7 is the realistic goal at the minute. Obviously, we'd like to get back to 6. We'd like to get back to the Conference North, and like Sam said, I want another trip to Boston. So yeah, it'd be nice to get up there. But the goal for the next few years is getting back up there, getting back where we need to be, getting back to where we belong to be completely honest.
Good, brilliant. Now we have mentioned him, but the main man himself, Mr. Lesher, or Selez, as some people call him. Does anyone want to make a quick sentence or note about that man coming back into the club after? Let's be honest, he didn't have to, but he has come in and taken the helm again at the Phoenix Club. Does anyone want to make a quick note about him?
I think the biggest thing about Les is that, and Jill as well. I mean, Jill as well. Yeah. They didn't want to see the club die. The club that they loved for so many years. I mean, Les before he left was at the club 20, 30 years. It may have even been longer than that. I don't know. But Les, as a human being, and Jill as a human being, are the absolute salt of the earth. They're those type of people where you'd go out of your way and do stuff for them, and that means you're doing stuff for the club as well. And their love of the club is something that I don't think any other chairman has in any football. I'm quite honest to say that. Les loves the club so much and loves the people around the club so much. So to see it die wasn't going to be good enough for him. And fair play to him, he stepped up to the job. And I said once that he's getting on a bit. So to do the job that he does, he's really good. But I got told off for saying that. But yeah, the job, the amount of hours that him and Jill do down at the ground, getting the ground ready, and obviously with the team as well, giving support to the team is quite unbelievable. And the man deserves his Les.
He does.
It's just picking up on what Jack said. Might sound a bit strange, this, but the sort of like been extra parent figures to us.
Yeah.
Jill quite often says how, how she's seen us grow up basically at that place, and we did spend our entire basically teenage years there really, and it was they've just been such big figures in our lives personally. Obviously we've known them 10 years, been through so much, and Les has given us a lot, and we try to do our bit and give back to the club, and that's where we try and do our bit fundraising wise and things as well. But they're just amazing people. They'll do anything for you, and the passion and the love that they have for that place is what helps keep it going, and is why it's got so much goodwill and so much support from people, because it's finally again run by two of the most amazing people you could ever wish to meet, and that's no exaggeration. It really is.
No, definitely, I agree. I massively agree. Moving on to the current squad then. Jack, you touched on it earlier on. It is pouring with talent. There are a lot of players hailing from a very high level in professional, not just semi-professional, but professional football. Now, COVID permitting, what do you see the targets being for this season? Let's say everyone gets vaccinated and the team's back in. What do you see this season being? What's the targets for this one?
I mean, it's got to be promotion. I mean, with the side that we've put together, is a side that would compete with any team in this league, as we've seen mostly already, apart from against Winston. But yeah, the team.
At least we win the social media battle with Winston. At least we win that one.
But yeah, I mean, the lads themselves are such of good quality, and we've seen in these FA Vars games. I mean, talking about who did we just play? Oh, Seaham. Sorry, yeah.
Seaham, yeah.
Playing against Seaham, obviously Northern League sides, and we've all been saying throughout this tournament, oh, you want to avoid the Northern League sides.
No. Can I just? You said we. I've been saying it. You two have been sat there saying how crap the Northern League is.
I haven't said that. I have not said that. But and then look what. All right, it was only on penalties, but the comeback that we saw against them to come back and win the tie on penalties in the Vars, not the Vars.
Vars, thank
but
you.
yeah, the character that this group of lads have is quite simply unbelievable, and I think the only real aim this season, obviously COVID permitting, is to gain promotion.
I think it's talent as well, though. Am I right in saying you've got players? Yeah, you've got players that are. I mean, East is one of them. Obviously, he's played at Championship, League 1, League 2 level.
Sponsored by the 2010 Villagers.
There you go. Sponsored by exactly. I know Danny. Yeah, I know Danny personally as well. So I mean, I taught him everything he knows at school. But yeah, he's brilliant, brilliant lad. I mean, the stories that he's had coming down the leagues, obviously, but when he played for Pompey, I think he can't walk around Pompey without people knowing. They absolutely adored him down there. And to get someone of that calibre at the club, I mean, even going down to, the next thing I was going to talk about is Chris Gaffer, Chris Boulder. I've seen him personally up close now in a few games. You can tell he's knowledgeable about the game. He has a clear and concise plan that he's trying to portray onto that pitch. It's not just about winning 2-1. If he wins 2-1 scrappy, I can see he gets pissed off because he thinks his team should be a lot better. Am I right in saying that? Or
Absolutely, he absolutely does. I mean, there's two types of managers at this sort of level. There's the managers that will shout their back ends off,
yeah,
just moan constantly, and there's managers like Chris who are very internal and very tactical and less. Walker? How would you describe it?
How would I describe Chris Boulder? Happy with a 2-0 victory. Or 3-0. The 3-goal curfew that exists. We've got a problem. We can't seem to score more than 3 in a game, which is a bit of a gag we've got going on at the minute, isn't it? But I'd rather win 1-0 every game if it means we get promoted. But
Exactly.
no, he's doing a good job as Chris. He's doing a good job. See, he's only young as well.
he is.
He's
Yeah.
learning on the job a lot, and you can see the development in him from last season to this season, especially with his recruitment as well. His recruitment's been class this season.
Yes, brilliant. I can see. You are right, Jack. There's very much the tracksuit manager. There's very much the failed player that thinks, his team should be performing a lot better, so he'll shout and scream at them as much as he can to try and rise them, get a rise out of them. Yeah, I can imagine. But then you've got someone like Chris that you can actually sit back and think, oh, well, that's a 4-2-3-1 he's playing there. It's not just 4-4-2, sit the bid lad up top and try and smack it up to him and play off him. But yeah, I mean, I've seen him. He looked brilliant, and the rest of the coaching lads that he's got with him as well. I mean, he's got a decent team around him.
He does.
How far do you think Chris and the team can go with his club? I mean, you've got your ideas about the club itself and how high you think they could go. How far do you think Chris can take them?
I'm going to let Ash answer this question because I need to get my laptop charger.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. I'll see what Sam thinks of this. It'll be interesting. I think Chris will find it easier getting out of this division. I think as soon as you're out of this division, it becomes a lot more. I mean, it becomes a little bit more easier because the teams that we're going to be playing aren't going to see us as this big club that's coming down to their ground, so we need to beat them. And I think the football that we play will suit the league above and the Northern Premier League a lot better. So I think if we can get up this season with Chris playing the football we want to play, I think he can take us to the Northern Premier League easy.
Yeah.
I agree, Ash, because what I was going to say was, and this might sound big-headed or like I'm blowing smoke up him, but sometimes I see Chris at this level. We're trying to play like Pep Guardiola style football at this level. We have a plan, we have tactics. We like to pass the ball well, keep possession. Jack mentions it a few times. Absolutely wear teams down, and it's sometimes to make it a bit clearer for people who don't know the level. It's like watching Man City when they play against someone like Newcastle or West Brom, who will literally just park the bus and have one guy up front and just hoof it up to them and hope for the best. And we can get bogged down and frustrated at times when we can't break that down. And I think Ash is right. When we hopefully go up, one, like Ash says, it won't be as much of Ferriby is such a massive team. We need to put in our best performance of the season today and really make a name for ourselves. And also the standard of football should be that little bit better, which I think will definitely suit Ferriby. We've watched a couple of games in the division above this season when we've had the chance, and the football is that bit step up, more sophisticated than it can be at times, especially away from home, which is why we've sometimes struggled away from home in this division, on dodgy pitches, on pitches with hills, whereas you come to Ferriby and we often joke and say, it's a carpet, it's like playing at Wembley, which for Ferriby's level, the pitch is amazing.
It is. It does. It looks like a pool table. It really does.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So I think Chris has the potential to go far with this team because he clearly has a plan and a philosophy that he's putting in place now.
Sure.
The squad love him to bits, and the camaraderie is amazing. And I think just get this step of getting out of this division, and I think we really will flourish under him as the manager and Robbo as his assistant. And obviously, it's great to have them there and doing well because they both achieved really good things as players with North Ferriby United, and that club meant a lot to them. And you can tell that now they're the management of the club.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, moving on to a more broader topic of non-league football. So obviously no Ferriby, but not non-league football in its entirety. We know it's a massive sore subject at the moment, but where like live football and non-league football are used together, it becomes a massively sore subject. We have seen campaigns like Let Fans In being created to pressure the government into letting people attend. Now, is this something you've made tongue-in-cheek remarks to, Jack, on Twitter? I've seen you don't know what the crack is or what tea you're in or anything like that. I've seen that all come from Ferriby's account. So how do you think Ferriby, but then also other clubs in the league, I know it's a little bit easier for them, but how do you think Ferriby's coped with the COVID restrictions at the moment? Or when it reopened, how do you think they coped?
I think we coped very well. I mean, I made the point to someone who had something to say last night, talking about having 300 in, obviously being limited to having 300 in into games, and obviously recently it's been brought down to 150. There are clubs in this division where having 300 fans in is no problem to them. I mean, they only average normally 100, 150, some even less than that. So having a cap at that for them is not a problem. But this big us up, yeah, haha. But a club of the size of ours and the fan base that we've got, we could easily have 600-700 people in for every league game.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and I mean, you just got to look at the people like applying for tickets. I mean, seeing how quickly tickets are selling out for games that are going on general sale and stuff. But I mean, now for games of 150, where we can only have 150 people in, we can't put them on general sale because we've got more than 150 season pass holders. So it just goes to show that it's hitting us a little bit because, especially for league games, because all those people have already paid for the season tickets. So the match day revenue isn't as much. Obviously, not being able to have the bar open is probably the biggest killer for us. It's the biggest killer for us three anyway. But yeah, for the revenue of the club, not having the bar open is such a big hit. Obviously, being able to have the food is something. But yeah, it's been tough for us, but we're managing to get through it. We're doing well with it. The regulations around the ground, Les has worked tirelessly getting all sanitizer around the ground and signage and they're like just making the place a safe place to go and watch football. And if you want to talk about the season as a whole and talk about what we know, is the answer is we don't know anything because we find out stuff as soon as the league tweet it. We don't find anything out beforehand. We don't get anything. We don't get any statements come at us beforehand. We find out as soon as the league tweets. Like the other day, I had to tell Les, the chairman, and our secretary that the league had been postponed because the league had put it on Twitter.
God's sake, yeah.
It's a tough situation, but we're getting by, and we've just, I suppose it's the best we can do at this time. Obviously, there's not much we can do. COVID is quite clearly a big thing in the country now, even more so than it was when it was first around in March, which seems like such a long time ago, and to still be having 60,000 new cases a day just makes you think, God, where are we going to go from here? But
yeah,
there's light at the end of the tunnel still with a vaccine, and the quicker we can get that out, the quicker everybody can have the jab in their arm, the quicker we'll be back to playing football.
Exactly, and drinking pints at the side of a pitch, which,
Yeah,
by the way,
definitely.
unbelievable. Ash, what do you think the main differences have been since you've been back pre-COVID and post-COVID? I know they made some amendments to the bar, didn't they?
Yeah, it started off quite normal, didn't it? And then we started having rules where you have to stay in your seat and you started having table service, which you understand that. And then you've got the queuing for the food was a little bit different. And you've got some markings in areas where you can't stand. But I think as a club, they've done a great job with it, quickly getting ready for that, being really prepared to make sure that as a fan you feel perfectly safe going into the ground.
Yeah,
I think that's the main thing. They've done a great job.
Yeah, the track and trace I noticed as well when you went in.
Track and trace, straight up like that.
They've sorted all that out.
Came out, was up, yeah.
And even before the NHS track and trace finally got itself into gear, they had that other app as well, didn't they, for for checking in
Yeah.
when you'd been there and stuff. So they were right on the ball with it from the start and adapted to the changing rules. Like Ash said, back in the summer, it was pretty much normal in there, and well, not quite normal, but and then to how it was with table service and takeaway and things like that. And then obviously the last few home games, the bars had to be closed and things, but the club have still got on with it and managed and had the food facilities open and stuff like that. So they've done the very best that they can with it. We're just waiting with bated breath now to see what the next outcome for the season is with this whole national lockdown that we're in at the moment.
And that's the next question, James. You've just touched on it in the chat there as well. In your heart of hearts, do you think the season's going to finish, or do you think it'll be null and void again?
No, it will be null and void.
Do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I can't. The FA are a very impatient organisation. They're going to want to seek the quick fix, and obviously the quick fix is to just finish the season now, having played only 10 games, some even less. You can't do PPG with only 10 games being played. I mean, Selby in our division have only played 6.
Yeah, true.
So you can't do that. And
PPG, by the way, for everyone that's listening, is points per game. There you go.
Yeah. So, and the FA are currently saying that it's unfeasible to go into June to play football. Why? I don't know.
Because of all them international call-ups that Tier 10's going to have. Yeah,
exactly.
I thought so. Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah, it's a weird one. I can't see us starting up again, to be completely honest. Hopefully the FA VARs will continue. Obviously, we're still into the last 32 of that. Hopefully the FA see that as an important thing and they'll carry that on. But to be honest, it's just a waiting game for everybody at the minute. Nobody knows what's going to happen, and we just wait and see what the league conjure up this time.
I agree with Jack because we obviously lost like nearly a month of football the back end of last year when we had the second lockdown.
Yeah.
So that was 6 or 7, maybe even more games gone. Now we're in this one till they say in the middle of February, but we don't really know for definite. So it's a hell of a lot of football to catch up with. And like Jack said, they're not particularly willing to extend the season beyond the end of May. So it looks like the inevitable null and void. And like Jack says, you just hope that the VARs continues and we can march down to Wembley and win that.
Again.
And I think it will, because the FA will prioritise getting their own personal competitions played to a finish. So I think we might, at the very least, get that. But in terms of the league games, unfortunately, I think it's looking a bit bleak, to be honest.
That's crap. Yeah, it's a really bad thing. I think there's going to be an absolutely massive. One sec, I'm just going to mute them. Give me a sec. There we go. Yeah, it's a really bad thing. There's going to be a lot of heartache, I think, and it's just the amount of effort that's gone into it. So, like you've said, the amount of effort that people have put in at the club to try and make it COVID safe, and the amount of effort that's gone to try and get something on for fans to come and watch. Even if it's being capped at 300, even if it's being capped at 150, it is a pain in the ass. But I do hope something else. I'll try and ask a lighter question now.
Go on.
And I did mention, I did see that Mr. Somerville in the chat did ask it earlier on. That's why I didn't ask it when he asked it, because it's one of my questions. All right, calm down, Riley. What is your favourite non-league ground away day and why?
I know Ash is. Can I answer that?
This is a very sketchy subject. We got in trouble for this subject, didn't we?
Ooh, did
On
you?
Twitter.
Yeah, but that was for the.
It was worst, wasn't it? It was worst. What was, do you want me to start then with favourite?
Best, yeah, go best. With a reason why as well, Ash.
Okay. It's tricky. We've got that many grounds we've been to. I'm just trying to think. I really, really like. Okay, I'll go with this one. I'll go with Lincoln when we went there in the league and went there in the cup. Just because it was a sort of ground there you go to and you think, wow, we've made it.
Yeah.
It might not be the prettiest ground in the world, but it's big. It's very big. And for a club like Ferriby to play at a ground like that in the league was very special. I mean, I didn't go to the league game; I was on holiday. I went to the cup game a couple of years beforehand, but yeah, I'll go with Lincoln. And Lincoln are a great bunch, great football club, Lincoln.
Yeah.
Walker, do you want to answer his question now? He asked about FC.
Yes, for FC.
Yeah.
No,
I'll
just
go with FC then.
no, it's all right.
He said
Just
non-league, didn't he?
yeah, just non-league teams. Trying to keep it as like.
So you try and be clever with me, Jack. You try and be clever with me.
We want to know your favourite FC one. Come on.
Go on.
Favorite FC ground? I'll go with Winterton, even though I don't like them as a football club. But Winterton's ground is the only one that comes close to ours.
Fair enough.
But it falls short of ours.
Sam.
For me, in terms of the ones I've been at throughout non-league, so it's North Ferriby United as well. It had to be Stockport County, Edgeley Park. When we went there, that was surreal. That was one of those days when we went there and won, standing in a ground that not that many years previously had been a championship ground. It was that was remarkable, and it was it was surreal. None of their fans had ever heard of North Ferriby. And we turned up and beat them, and it was a great old English football ground really enjoyed that day. North Ferriby FC, God, there is, like Ash says, there isn't an awful lot to pick from. But to be honest, as a football ground, I think I might say Emley. I mean, it was a proper football ground.
Sam.
Jack likes that. Jack likes that.
Sam, you got to remember the fact that they've got a fence. They're part of the cricket ground crew which I'm not very fond of.
Jack.
Non-league as a whole, I think I'm going to annoy Ash here. Again, one of my favourite grounds that I've been to is he knows what I'm going to say as well. Is Broadhurst Park FC.
He used to go to more away grounds higher
up. I was sort of a bit mesmerised with Broadhurst Park. I was going to say Edgeley Park, but Sam said it. But Broadhurst Park when we got there was fantastic. I mean, just turning up to see this nice big ground owned by a fan-run club. I mean, it was something which is obviously now, well, obviously we've got Les, but the fans have a big say as well. It was nice. It was nice to see, but just the overall stature of that stadium, looking at all the fans in the back in the stand behind the goal next to you, was quite brilliant. But we've had some good away days with North Ferriby United, and we've certainly had some good away days with North Ferriby FC. My favourite one with North Ferriby FC. All the grounds have different character for very different reasons. I think the ground I'm going to say, which was one of my favourites, was probably Parkgate, because
that was close. That was close with mine with Winston.
I know Parkgate because their pitch was quite outstanding. Obviously, a bit like ours is kept by the Rotherham United groundsman.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Because obviously the training ground that Rotherham train at is right next to Parkgate's ground. It's literally 10 steps away.
Right.
So the groundsman maintain that, and that is a very, very nice pitch. And the place as a whole is quite nice, and the ground is a very nice ground to be at. So yeah, I'd probably say Parkgate.
Oh, there you go. Thank you very much. And this is a United or an FC question now. All right, Ash, I'll put that out there first. Who is the biggest name or biggest star you've seen playing for a non-league team? This can be Ferriby. This can be Ferriby or a non-Ferriby team.
I've got.
Mine and Ash's footballing hero. This guy, it's got to be that.
Yeah.
I'll let Ash answer.
I'll let you have him, Sam. I'll let you have a go.
Well, in terms of who we've seen play against Ferriby, it has to be Jamie Vardy.
Really?
Who is one of mine and Ash's footballing heroes.
No way.
Anywhere near enough credit.
Tell us a story about that, definitely.
So it was back in the day. So obviously people will know him as the star he's now with Leicester, and then he was at Fleetwood, and before that he was at Halifax, and before that
Right.
even he was at Stocksbridge Park Steels, who had a stand named after him.
No way.
When he left, and I've seen him. I always get this story wrong, but I'm fairly sure we saw him score for Halifax against Ferriby.
Did you always say Stocksbridge, Sam, but it's not Stocksbridge. It was Halifax. You're right.
Yeah. So obviously, a lot of people will know the whole Jamie Vardy underdog story, going from a non-league player to a Premier League winner and an England international, over 100 goals in the Premier League. So that is a remarkable story, and to see him play against Ferriby he's probably gone on to have the best career, be the biggest star of anyone I've seen play against Ferriby.
Now, go on, Jack.
I think probably the funniest famous person we've seen play for not for Ferriby, against Ferriby was coming to the end of his footballing career, and that is one Mr. Beast, Big John Parkin.
Big John, did it? Was it Forest Green or?
No, it was when he was playing for York.
Really?
Yeah. Big John came down to Ferriby and had to have a go at the transfer, which was an interesting spectacle. He's apart from Jamie Vardy, he's probably one of the biggest characteristics in football we've seen down at the ground, I must say.
Brilliant podcaster now is Mr. Beast.
He is.
Yeah, he is. He's got
great
a very
podcast.
Good, very good. Very good.
Podcast.
Very good podcast. Ash, barring the Beast and barring Mr. Vardy, is there anyone left for you to take up there?
I'm just trying to think of players that are in the Football League that we'll have seen. Goalkeeper at Portsmouth, McGilvery, he was at Harrogate. But apart from that, I'm really struggling to think of people.
I think there's going to be a Mr. East that's going to be really upset. We're not saying his name.
Oh,
The dizzying heights of...
And Easty.
Yeah, and Easty, obviously. And the glamour.
His ego doesn't need to
It done. You're right. It done.
We saw big Frank Sinclair, the centre back.
Did
you? Who played for Chelsea back in the day?
Big Frank did come to my head. We saw Lee Trundle as well at Marine.
Lee Trundle. Now he still plays football today, if you can believe that.
After watching him. After watching him play against us, I'm not sure how he still plays 10 years later.
Here's one that the boys will have forgotten about. In the conference season, we had a certain striker on loan, the worst striker I think I've ever seen play for Ferriby United, Mr. Sam Cosgrove, now banging goals for Aberdeen.
Really?
In the Scottish Prem, yeah. He he was awful.
Was he?
He was really bad. And obviously to see him now banging the goals in for Aberdeen is quite a weird spectacle for us. But yeah, he's another one. I was just trying to think. Is there any more? We must have done.
There's been a few. Definitely people that are coming to the end of their career.
Yeah, I think that's the main one.
Ended up down at that sort of level. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I'll see if I can think of any more.
Did we ever play against Julio Arca? Where was he playing? Was he at South Shields?
South Shields. I'm not sure he was playing for them when we played him.
Right.
So, famous connections. We did play against Rodri Giggs once, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
Did you?
He was Salford manager, Rodri.
Wow.
When we played him. Playing manager at Salford.
Paddy Power.
Walker, should we include Carl Piergianni in this list?
Well, he thinks he should be, but he's still living in Tom Denton's back pocket. It's Piergianni.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I can't really think of any others, to be honest.
No, that's absolutely fantastic. Now, I've got some questions from the very patient people that I've got in my chat that I wanted to fire across at you. We've got quite a few, actually. So Ryan Boy 1986 says, I've had mates who are Rangers fans and they went through the same thing as Ferriby, and now they say that they love their club more now than what they did before liquidation. Is that the same for you guys?
100%.
Absolutely, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, totally.
It makes you value what you've got as a football club.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does. I totally agree, Ash. And that to be honest, the things like the podcast and things like that have probably grown from that. We've been so ingrained in North Ferriby FC since it reformed. Not that we weren't with United, but like you say, we felt like something was stolen away from us, and we never knew really at that point if we were ever going to get it back. So
Yeah.
to have what we have now, yeah, 100%, I agree with that totally.
Next question comes from FM_player, Lizzie, we know. She says, thoughts on the West Auckland game?
Be one tough game
Yeah.
if we ever get it played. If we ever get it played, yeah, it'll be one tough game. But we've shown what we're like against these Northern League sides now, like Ash has bleated on about. But yeah, they're a different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
So that'll be a ridiculously hard game. But I have belief, we have belief, and if we can get through that, I don't think anybody's stopping us. I won't lie.
Good.
I mean, a friend of our show, James, who was part of the Danny East sponsorship as well, he's been bleating on for months about buying suits for Wembley and everything. He's that convinced we're going to get there. To be honest, I have been saying since we beat CM Red Star, I'm very, very confident now. And I think, yes, West Auckland, they're a good side. They're the division above us, equivalent, obviously, up in the northeast. But yeah, I think we can win that game, and I very much hope that it gets played and that we can get people in the ground to see it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that last part you just said there, Sam, be a massive, massive bonus as well. John Dixon _1990. John's a local lad. He's a Hull lad. He's asking, will the link between the Villagers and Hull ever be recreated, do you think?
When the alums go.
Yeah?
I think, yeah, when the alums go. I think a lot of it is the alums, isn't it? Fair and Brightly.
Yeah.
Being stubborn.
Well, I am on this supporters trust. I don't know the supporters board. Sorry, I don't know if you knew that. So we meet with the alums every. It used to be every quarter.
Yeah.
But he's brought it up in the past and just kind of brushed it off. So I don't really know why the Billy Blythe stopped getting played. Was that an argument between chairman or?
Yeah, they don't particularly have a great relationship, the Les and the Allams. I think it's pretty clear to see.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we've always asked them, Ben. So it's never been us that have turned them down. It's always them that have turned down us. So if that gives you the answer that you need to know, then
Yeah, definitely.
Because obviously it used to be a really good relationship. Because for people that don't know, that like Hull City's reserves, under 23s, whatever you want to call them, used to play their games at Ferriby.
Yeah, every season, once a season, yeah.
No, they played their league season home games, the reserve team at Ferriby.
Oh, right.
And then obviously, yeah, we had the big marquee friendly every season where, like I said earlier, you tended to get to see Hull City's new summer signings for the first time, and when they were a Premier League side, obviously that was a massive deal.
Yeah.
And obviously the Billy Blythe did carry on to an extent, but it started turning out to be Hull City's like kids rather than the first team, and so the attendance plummeted, and then eventually it's come to basically nothing now. But yeah, I think we might see Olive Branch potentially from Hull City if and when they ever get new owners.
Yeah, it is a shame because it's not just obviously the financial gain of the gate receipts on the day. It's people like yourself, Sam. You've just said that one of the first reasons why you went there was due to that Billy Blythe Trophy game, and now
precisely,
if you want to put a monetary value on you, I mean, obviously the bar, you probably spend more on the bar than you do at tickets. But if you want to put a monetary value on that, yeah, exactly. And going forward, then that's massive. That you don't know what you're missing out on in terms of potential fans. Now, I know the alums won't want to hear of Hull City fans being converted into North Ferriby, but you are missing out on a lot of that way as well, aren't you? And kids, the kids in the local area going to watch a North Ferriby game as well as a Hull City game potentially for £5, £3, whatever.
100%.
Yeah, it is a big thing. I do think, despite the link between the two clubs breaking down, we have seen a positive for Ferriby is that we have seen some disaffected Hull City fans in the last few years. Obviously, since Steve Forster left, obviously with his wife being Asa Malam's daughter, but since then, we have seen a lot of Hull City fans converting and coming down to Ferriby and other teams in the area, in fairness. But, Ferriby's obviously the marquee one in the area and coming to watch us because as you'll have seen, obviously the crowds at the KCOM over the last few years have gone down and down
Yeah,
and down to
massively.
hardly anything now. So, yeah, we have definitely seen a benefit from that. And I just hope that, yeah, we can link up with Hull City in ways, especially getting that friendly going again would be massive.
Yeah, definitely. I've had one from Dan in the box here that says, "Don't you think Ashley Walker looks like John Newman, the singer?" There you go. I don't know. I don't know whether that's a
I've not had that one before.
I don't know whether that's a compliment or.
Think like him.
That's not one I've heard before.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
It's
whether.
probably the nicest thing anyone's ever said to him.
Probably,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually.
Right. Okay. 1 second. Let me just see what else we've got here. Yeah. Apparently, I've got to tell you about the formation that I played that James Ebbs is saying, which is a 4-4-1-1. So I'll get on the blower to Chris after this. Obviously, that got me into the Premier League, so he needs to speak to me about that. To be honest,
I think he needs to hire you, mate.
he does. He does. He genuinely does. That's absolutely fine. I've not got any more questions. I don't know if you guys wanted anything else. Guys in the chat, obviously, if you want anything else to add in there, please let me know now. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that you guys wanted to add on from your podcast side of things, Izzy, or
watch the podcast.
Where can we find you?
The 2010 Villagers on YouTube.
There we go.
And on Twitter as well.
It's at 2010 Villagers on Twitter. Yeah. And the 2010 Villagers YouTube channel. We've got a couple of big things coming up actually the next couple of weeks.
Big week ahead, haven't we?
We won't say who, but we've got a player joining the show next week, so that'll be really good. And he actually came forward to us, so that was really pleasing for us. We know a lot of the players watch it and like it, so yeah, that's really good. And then we've got a big quiz as well coming up soon that Jack's going to be setting the questions. So we're going to try and keep the episodes going through lockdown.
Good.
And obviously, yeah, just there's 16 episodes so far on the account. There's quite a lot of laughs, a bit of controversy. Obviously, we've upset a few people along the way, but yeah, we just love the club and love talking about it. And from my point of view, just want to say thanks for inviting us on tonight.
No.
Really enjoyed it.
I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. I think I'm pretty sure I probably want to do this again later on down the line. Hopefully, when there's a little bit of football going on. I've got people here saying it's been class. Post a link in my Discord, which I definitely will. I will put your link in my Discord soon. And then also FM Player says, I love a good podcast. I'll be definitely tuning in. Kobe FM saying this has been class. Dan saying I absolutely loved it. 2010 Villagers have a fan base in Ollerton. That's Somerville, obviously.
Yeah, we do.
There you go.
We do, yeah. I think we're banned from the town, aren't we, of Ollerton?
Yeah.
Just like Nash is banned from the town of Emley, so.
Okay.
Well, no, I remember I'm being nice to Emily now. It's my New Year's resolution.
That is brilliant.
But just like most other New Year resolutions, I can guarantee you by the end of the next podcast it'll be broken.
There you go. There you
We'll
go.
have to see.
Brilliant. Yeah, John, that is the correct page. So your Twitter has now been shared in the chat as well. So guys, just click that, give them a follow. Make sure you can keep up to date with them, obviously, when their latest podcasts are going live as well. And yeah, other than that, lads, thank you very much for coming on. As it stands, we have raised £658 for the club. So we'll be passing it on in due course. Yeah, all from today. So thank you everyone that's donated. Really, really, really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll be tuning in with you guys later on, and we 1000% will get you back on the channel. But thank you very much for joining me tonight, lads. And I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you very much. Cheers, boys. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.